Hello YouTube, my name is Rachel Mayo. Welcome to my channel and thank you for being here. I'm going to be discussing the new moon in Aries that is happening on the 21st of March 2023. This new moon is a fabulous new moon. An Aries new moon presents opportunities for us to start, Aries area of our chart, ready or not. This is time to set goals. This is time for you to take action on the things that you've been procrastinating on, things that you've been thinking about for a long time. This is time to begin. This will be a time of a lot of transformation. Normally I will read for the ascendants, but this time I'm kind of pressed for time. So if you have any questions about how this lunation is going to affect you according to your ascendant, I encourage you to ask me that question in the comments area of this video. Any interaction with my channel really helps my channel grow, so go ahead, like and share this video. Also make sure to subscribe to my channel. Aries is the first sign of the Zodiac, so it's already associated with new beginnings. This new moon is happening at 049 degrees of Aquarius, the very beginning degree of the first sign of the Zodiac. This is fresh new energy. The Aries new moon is the first new moon of 2 consecutive new moons. There will be 2 new moons in the sign of Aries this year. This is really stressing on new beginnings. The second new moon is actually going to be an eclipse at around 29 degrees of Aries, opposite the Venus-Cazimi point. That happened in the sign of Libra in October last year. So whatever you begin or initiate at this Aries new moon, you're going to see some type of progress or movement at around the second Aries new moon, which is going to be a solar eclipse. So if you go back in history, you're going to discover there was another Aries new moon at 039 degrees of Aries. This one happened on March 20th, 2004. So go back to that time period and see what you initiated around that time. The events that are going to occur are not going to be the same, simply because at that time the outer planets were in different places. However, it's going to give you an idea of the area in your life, your Aries house, of what happened then, what you initiated then. This is the second time around, perhaps even a continuation for some. So these new moons at 0 degrees of Aries or 0 degrees of any sign, perhaps, if I may say, do not happen every other month or every other year. This is almost a 19 to 20 year difference in years since the last time a new moon occurred at this degree. So this could really be a life-changing moment for a lot of people. Let's jump in and look at the aspects. The Aries new moon is happening on March 21st at 1:23 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you check for your own time zone in order to get the correct ascendant. This is the ascendant for New York. The tightest aspect in this chart is that Mars is squaring this new moon. Mars is finishing up his transit in the sign of Gemini. Mars is around 29 degrees of Gemini. So this is an out of sign square. However, it's very valid because the moon and the sun move very fast and they're eventually going to catch up with Mars. This is an aspect of anger and irritation. So perhaps at the time of the new moon, we're not going to feel this intense energy right away, but the sun and the moon move very fast. So when Mars moves into the sign of Cancer at 0 degrees of Cancer, a couple of days or a day after the new moon, we're going to feel this irritation and anger because this square aspect is going to become exact. So there will be a buildup of annoyance and irritation, and perhaps some of us are going to get really triggered a day or two after this lunation. We're going to come back to this aspect a little bit later on. Let's look at how Venus is tightly conjunct the North Node at 4 degrees of Taurus. Venus is dominant in the sign of Taurus because she's finally home. She rules the sign of Taurus. Venus is also the ruler of the transiting North Node in Taurus. This is very important because the North Node is setting the future destiny for everyone. Venus and the North Node in Taurus are also sextile Saturn, which is freshly transiting the sign of Pisces. Saturn is almost at 2 degrees of Pisces. This is a very supportive aspect. Saturn is basically supporting the actions that you're going to take at the time of this lunation. The sextile aspect is an aspect of opportunities. So this means essentially that this aspect is going to bring real opportunities for advancement in the Taurus house and the Pisces house. Saturn will help you manifest things in these two houses. Venus, the ruler of the North Node at 4 degrees, is tightly conjunct asteroid Juno. Juno sextiling Saturn and conjunct Venus is very positive in that Juno wants to solidify commitments in areas of love and perhaps money. Because of the conjunction to Venus and the North Node, which is also a very positive conjunction. So perhaps some of us are going to meet with destiny in areas concerning love and money. Venus, as the ruler of Taurus, also rules over the second house of the zodiac, which essentially rules over what we love and value, our earning ability. Just to mention a few things. Taurus is a fixed sign. It is also an earth sign. So in this sign, we're dealing with tangible things that we can see, touch and feel. So here we're talking about our possessions, things like land, houses, cars. The second house also rules over our earning ability. So this means that we're going to see brand new beginnings concerning these issues. Taurus also rules over money and the banks. So as you can see, there's already something going on in that area. Venus also rules over love and relationships. So we're also going to see brand new beginnings in our relationships. There will be transformation in love and money. Venus is also square Pluto. Pluto is about to conclude his transit in the sign of Capricorn. So this is an out of sign square. We will feel this Plutonian energy of transformation, even if this aspect is an out of sign square. And another reason why this square is very important is the fact that Pluto is going to move into the sign of Aquarius on March 24th, just a few days after this lunation. So essentially this means that this is the first time that Venus and Pluto are squaring in these respective fixed signs for the first time in our lifetime, simply because Pluto takes over 248 years to orbit around the zodiac. The other reason why this square is really poignant is the fact that Venus is the ruler of the transiting North Node in Taurus, and Venus is dominant as she is transiting the sign of Taurus. So Venus rules the North Node, whilst Pluto is the ruler of the transiting South Node in Scorpio. So these two planets squaring at the time of this lunation is basically saying that we are going to be pushed into taking action to go towards our North Node and release something on the South Node. Mars is the other ruler of the South Node in Scorpio and is also very active at this lunation. So we are going to see massive transformation and letting go in the areas where these two planets are transiting respectively in the zodiac. Another aspect in this chart is the fact that Mars at 28 degrees of Gemini is quincunx Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is a challenging aspect in that these two planets are basically transiting around the same degree, but they cannot see each other. So perhaps there will be an area in these two houses where we just have to agree to disagree. Venus conjunct the North Node is really positive in that she is the ruler of the North Node. So Venus is trying to bring something in our lives that is karmic and fated. This could have something to do with money or love. So perhaps some of you are going to meet a soulmate at the time of this lunation, or some of you are going to have some type of financial windfall. Let's keep in mind that we have to consider how this aspect is aspecting your own natal birth chart. The squares between the rulers of the transiting nodes could essentially bring some losses, some major losses, which could be really transformative in the areas involved. Some major losses in love or money. This all depends on how these aspects are aspecting your own natal birth chart. If you have not booked a reading with me, this is an excellent time to book a reading with me. The link to the reading will be right below this video. Then Aries New Moon is happening at 0 degrees. 0 degrees of any cardinal sign is a world point. 0 degrees in the sign of Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, happening at a world point means that there will be something that will be announced at the time of this lunation, a few days before or a few days after. Whatever is announced at this time is going to be life-changing, and it's going to affect all of humanity, because a world point is news released or events that happen that affect humanity at large. Let's also remember that a day before this lunation, we had the spring equinox. This is a change of season, so it's essentially another new beginning. This new moon is really important for new beginnings. This is a time for you to just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and initiate those plans. Go ahead and start that new relationship. Go ahead and start that new business. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars has been in the sign of Gemini for over 7 months. Mars is going to enter into another cardinal sign. So this means that when Mars enters Cancer, it's going to reactivate and trigger this lunation. Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer is another world point. So expect some more world announcements when Mars enters the sign of Cancer. When Mars enters the sign of Cancer and triggers this lunation. So when we look at the new moon, we see that Mercury is conjunct this lunation. Mercury is currently transiting at around 5 degrees of Aries. Mercury is also widely square Mars, the ruler of this lunation. Mercury transiting Aries is being hosted by Mars, the ruler of this lunation. Mars transiting the sign of Gemini is being hosted by Mercury. So as you can see, there's a mutual reception going on with these two planets. This mutual reception implies that what you're thinking is going to actually align with your actions. Even though our thoughts and actions are going to be impulsive at this time, Mercury in Aries is going to tend to act now and think later. Mars transiting the sign of Gemini will basically encourage aggressive speech. Mars, the ruler of this lunation, is also involved in a trine with transiting Saturn. This is an out of sign trine. This aspect is going to become exact as soon as Mars starts transiting the sign of Cancer. A trine aspect is very supportive energy, and a trine aspect from Saturn to Mars is basically going to solidify whatever action or commitments that we'll make at the time of this lunation. This is one of the most positive lunations I've seen in a while. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to feel like an eclipse. It's definitely going to feel like an eclipse because of the nodal action going on with Venus, the ruler of the North Node. So basically, all the rulers of the transiting North Node and the transiting South Node are being activated at the time of this lunation. So karma and destiny is being delivered by this new moon. There is a stellium in Aries beginning at the time of this lunation. The sun and the moon are conjunct in Aries. This is essentially the definition of a new moon. Mercury is also transiting Aries at around 6 degrees. Let's also remember that there is the conjunction of Chiron and Jupiter in the sign of Aries at around 15 degrees of Aries. The Jupiter-Chiron conjunction is too far away from this lunation to impact it directly at the time of the new moon. So all the other aspects are happening at the time of this lunation will really affect you if they're triggering a point or a planet in your own natal birth chart. So who will be affected the most by this lunation? It is the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Aries will be affected the most simply because this lunation is, after all, happening in your sign. So this new moon is very personal for you, Aries. It could be life-changing. The cardinal signs are going to have a bit of a challenging experience with this lunation, especially if you have anything at around 0 to 3 degrees of the cardinal signs. Cancer and Capricorn are going to find this new moon much more challenging simply because they're going to be squared by this lunation. Square aspects pushes into taking action. So you are one of the signs who is going to be forced into taking action at the time of this lunation. Libra is another cardinal sign. However, Libra is going to be opposed by this lunation. So you are going to find that other people, perhaps your partners, are opposing you or challenging you. So cardinal signs are basically going to be pushed into taking action. The earth signs are going to have a better experience with this lunation. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Taurus is going to be highly impacted by this lunation simply because you are hosting the transiting North Node, and the ruler of the transiting North Node, the ruler of your sign, Venus, is also very active at the time of this lunation. Venus is exactly conjunct the North Node and also conjunct Juno. So it all depends on how this conjunction is aspecting your own natal birth, chart. So this might be a life-changing moment for you, Taurus. Mars is the ruler of Aries and the transiting South Node. So this new moon is going to feel like an eclipse for you, Aries. This new moon could be really transformative for you, Taurus, and you're going to feel really empowered because you're basically being activated at the time of this lunation. There is communication. There is a wide trine to transiting Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. This aspect is a harmonious aspect that will bring opportunities to you, Taurus. Capricorn is an earth sign, a cardinal earth sign. That means you're still going to feel the pressure of the square aspect to this lunation. However, your ruling planet Saturn is eventually going to be in a sextile, is eventually going to trine Mars, the ruler of this lunation. This is positive, this is very supportive, and it's going to support whatever actions that you begin at the time of this lunation. Virgo and Aries do not aspect each other, so this might not be the biggest impactful lunation for you, Virgo, simply because you do not aspect the sign of Aries. However, if you do have points or planets at around 0 degrees of Aries, you are going to feel the action going on in these. You are going to feel the action going on in these houses. The water signs are not going to be particularly very impacted by this lunation because the water signs do not aspect the sign of Aries. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. However, Cancer is going to be impacted because Cancer is a water sign but also a cardinal sign. So Cancer is going to feel the square aspect to this lunation. You're going to feel it much more intensely, especially if you have anything at 0 degrees of Cancer. And let's also keep in mind that the ruler of this lunation is about to enter your sign, Cancer. So essentially, Mars, when Mars enters your sign at 0 degrees, is going to reactivate and trigger this lunation. Cancer always feels all lunations personally. So just because you're ruled by the moon, you're going to feel this much more personally. The fire signs are going to have a better experience with this lunation. The fire signs are, of course, Aries, where this new moon is happening. So you will feel it much more intensely. It is your new moon after all. Leo is the other fire sign. Leo is going to be aspecting this new moon by a trine aspect. Leo always feels lunations intensely simply because the sun is always part of any lunation. So look to see what you have at 0 degrees of the fire signs. These points and planets are going to be activated by a very harmonious trine. So energy is going to flow through these houses and to your sign very easily. That means things are going to just happen naturally and effortlessly. This is a really positive new moon for the fire signs. The other fire sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is going to be aspecting this new moon by a trine aspect. As I said, it's very positive. So expect things to come with ease as a result of this lunation. If you were born on or around the 21st of March, a few days before or a few days after, you're going to be highly impacted by this lunation, simply because you're going to have this new moon energy in your solar return chart. This is the year that you're going to initiate big things. This is the year there will be brand new beginnings in your Aries chart, wherever Aries is going to fall in your solar return chart. This is the energy that you're going to have in your chart for the whole year. This is an excellent time for you to book a solar return chart reading. This new moon is definitely going to be life-changing. So book a reading with me so we can find where the Aries house is going to fall in your solar return chart. If you like the content of this video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Also make sure to leave me a comment in the comment section of this video. You can also ask me how this lunation is going to affect you according to your ascendant sign, because I didn't include that in this reading. However, I will be answering questions. I answer viewer questions promptly, so go ahead and leave me a question or a comment in the comment section of this video.